today is the event director and co-founder of her family-run business, Mastermind Event Rentals. More recently, she's fresh off her campaign running as a first-time MP for the Kanata-Carleton riding. She's also past president of the MPI Ottawa chapter, which now, in hindsight, was clearly a dress rehearsal for her dance on the political stage. Passionate about designing events and known in her community for her engagement and giving back, she was hard hit by the pandemic and not only reinvented her business, but also her whole life. A mother, an entrepreneur, an event designer, and the queen of hustle, please welcome to the Illuminate Project, Jen McAndrew.
Yeah.
And even more your conservative blue for us.
You know what? I've been shopping by color the last 8 weeks. I don't even know what I own. It's all just blue or navy. So and this was clean because I haven't done laundry in a little while. So
and I really think you need to grab one of those huge billboards you had of big picture of you and just surround yourself by you.
Oh my God. Yeah. The one that's 12 feet tall of my head. Yeah. It was it's good seeing yourself like that as you drive by.
Wow. Is that like party mandate that you have to wear blue through the election?
No, I can't.
Okay.
No, there's no mandate on that. I mean, it's a branding thing, obviously. I didn't wear any red.
Right.
So it's not a mandate by any stretch.
So how are you feeling? Tell us how you're feeling now.
Later.
A whole week, right? It's a whole, you know what? Last week was super surreal because it was the most boring day ever because you can't do anything. You can't campaign. You can't make phone calls. I went out on deliveries with Scott. So we delivered linen and balloons. And then when it's actually time to watch the election, it's the most out of control thing because you have no control. So it's out of body. So you're watching it pop up on CTV and CBC and you do your part and you have one vote, right? Now you're literally in the worst job interview process of your entire life and other people decide on it for you. So it's I guess reality TV show, but I was super disappointed. I'm not going to lie. It sucks, but
you gave them a run for their money.
Yeah,
you pushed it. You were a new candidate and it was a close second.
Yeah, 3%, right? Which
right.
So every vote does count when you think about it that way, which is interesting. But we did it all in 7 weeks. So if we had by the time I'd started the process last summer of applying to be the candidate, and it's a 70-page application plus background checks, credit checks, social media checks.
Right.
Wow.
Everything. And then you have to run a little mini campaign. And that's where you get people who are members to vote for you. So I won that. That process actually, even though my application was in December, I didn't have my interview until July 2nd. Right. So you have a 9-person interview and they just quiz you and they kind of grill you for an hour and a half. And you sign the NDAs and all that stuff in case they want to know what they're getting into, right? They don't want anything coming out. Right.
Through all of this, Chris and I were talking about this. Did Scott's picture and famous appearance on TSN in his senator's suit ever come up?
No, it didn't. It didn't. Nothing about him really came up. So maybe that would have won it.
I think that might have won it.
So close. That would have done it for me. Yeah. No, they didn't deal too much. They checked a little bit of the company history and stuff like that, but mostly my history and stuff. And then, so I officially became the candidate July 22nd. And then the election was September 20th. So we hit half the riding. So that would be, there's about 42,000 houses. So we went to about 20,000 of those in 7 weeks. Wow. So it's a lot of door knocking and stuff. And it was fast. It was like doing a marathon at a sprint pace.
So my parents got a phone call from you.
Was it the automated one? Because that was
no, I don't.
Did I really call?
I think you really called them because I got a text from my parents live in the riding for the listeners who don't know. So it's a small world. And they're like, oh yeah, your colleague there, Jen McAndrew, she called us. And I'm like, really?
Sure. I may have.
Can we maybe back up 5 steps and because
we just jumped right in.
Current day. Let's back up and go chronological.
You had a crazy year and a half.
Yeah, and it's been a lot of steps to get to this point.
Yes.
Let's back up to 2020. And the state of our industry, we all know, came crashing down. And I watched your kind of fight at that time, being a small business and maybe
and
take us
event
back to
rental
that.
company,
Yeah.
right? Which is like completely tied
Not
into
relevant.
in person.
It's not relevant when you can't meet with more than like anybody or on Zoom.
Right.
Yeah. So I was thinking about that, trying to get ready for this. So we probably shut down completely. Like the last event and the last site visit I did was actually in Montreal, and we went to Concordia with you, and Chase came with me, and we went to a Habs game March 10th.
Yeah.
We were in Montreal and we were visiting, and we took the train, and we were getting ready for your event, and super fun concepts and all the Lego and stuff. And then didn't really think about COVID or any of that kind of stuff. And then we probably shut down 2 weeks later, like completely. Yeah. We ended up laying off 17 staff. So that was everybody. And it was just Scott and his dad and I, and we're kind of like, oh crap, what do we do? Because there's no events, right? And all of our clients are hotels and restaurants and wedding venues and golf courses and universities and colleges and arenas. So no clients. So I think it was Scott. So it would have been like towards the end of March. He's like, oh, you know what we should do? He's going to you're going to hate me, but let's see if we can sell balloons. I was like, oh yeah, no one's going to want.
Where does that idea come from?
Yeah, we had all the stuff because we had done some for corporate people. We've done like an entrance here and there and little
and you made
stuff,
them yourselves, right?
Yeah. Oh, we just do it all or we have a supplier in Toronto but whatever, you do little stuff we can get some, Mastermind branded balloons, and we'll get our own branded stuff. So we had that. So I set up a Shopify store end of March, and then we pushed it out on social media and stuff like that. So what we were doing was non-contact balloon delivery. So, it's somebody's birthday, you can't see them, you go on, order, we drop it on their doorstep. Essentially, that's what it was. And it started with a few, and we kept going. And, we got Easter and Mother's Day in there, and a bunch of other stuff, and graduations. So that really kept the lights on, sort of as much as we could keep the lights on last year in those first few months of April, May, and June. And then we found some clients that were more pandemic proof, because we have the facilities to do commercial laundry, like a laundry facility. So we have the big washers, the dryers, the irons, all that stuff. So we found clients like massage therapy clinics and physiotherapy clinics. Wow. So we started just doing laundry because they're going through so much of it. We just do, because we could be an essential service as part of the supply chain. We just did laundry.
You did the balloons. Let's go back even further. So a couple years ago, when we tie-dyed all those coffee filters, and I was talking to you while you're watching. Now, balloons or coffee filters? What would you rather work with?
Balloons, maybe. I don't know. It's a toss-up. I have no feeling in my fingers anymore. So really, it doesn't matter at this point in time.
So many balloons. I watch you on Facebook, and I'm like, oh goodness, I can't believe how many balloons.
Since last, rough, I haven't counted because I think I would quit, but ballpark, knowing the number of orders we've done, I've probably made over 30,000 balloons, tied them, and from all the, we did some promotions at Halloween and the garlands. So yeah, since last March, just over
up with a
30,000.
I think that's your new innovation.
They have one, but it's so slow. I'm just faster. I'm all about efficiency at this stage. So, yeah. So just over, but that kept us going, right? That there was nothing else. Cause like you said, we're an event rental company. No one's renting 400 chairs or doing engaging event design like we like to do, or any of those things. It was nothing. So it was balloons or close down. And part of it became too, that our landlord where we were, didn't want to go for any of the rent subsidies, which this is kind of what led me into politics too, right? A little bit our landlord wanted no part in the government programs that were offered. He said it was too complicated. He told us to go find more money or go bankrupt and close. That was our two options. Yeah. He had some other options too. He came up with his own rent relief. He called it. It was 2 months free and a 38% increase to our monthly rent. Yeah. So we ended up moving at the end of it. We moved during the pandemic. We sold our house. We used some of that money, my in-laws' money, and we bought land and a building. So we're our own landlords now, which is great. For the business, it's not quite big enough because we have a lot of stuff, but it's better.
Container homes. Like,
yes,
please.
yes.
Ryan's very excited about the container
I love
homes.
this.
That's all he wants to talk about.
Yeah, when you send pictures like that's.
I have to send you updated ones. We're just
No.
like, things have picked up, but again, supply chain's been kicking us. So yeah, we have behind the building, like so sustainable homes, like built out of a bit of shipping containers. Yeah. So it's just like a big bungalow, right? Like it's not quite finished yet, like, but the drywall is just going up. We got distracted, I don't know, with the last couple months. It's been busy, but
Really?
We're finally getting some more. I know, right? Like build a house, move, start school, run for federal office, whatever.
Like as I hear your story here, like, and this has been a theme throughout season 2, where we've talked to people on how they survived the pandemic, and there's been a lot of different stories, but yours really is a story of survival.
Yeah, you dug really deep in your pockets and you came up with some really creative ideas. We talk about in design, as you know, in the course that we took together, that it's like the more constraints you have, somehow the irony, or what people may not realize, is the more creative you get. And definitely saw like just gamut of things that you got so creative, just born out of necessity.
Well, and we just didn't say no to anything. Like we were like, oh, you want to? Yeah, sure. Well, yeah, we can do that. No problem. Yeah. I have no idea what we were doing. But we made it work.
Do you feel like you got, what do you feel the cost was to that? Do you feel like this was like one of the most creative, innovative years ever? Or like, did you feel like it was one of the most exhausting years ever?
Yeah, it takes its toll. I'm not gonna lie, like it's a lot, and you're still going, right? And like it's hard to keep the lights on. Like if you think about it, balloons are like $25. Do you know how many balloons? Like that's why you have to make a lot of balloons, right? Like so it's a volume based, and it feels like you're constantly reinventing yourself, which in itself is exhausting, because you wouldn't do this to your business in a normal, like you might streamline and be like, oh, let's not take that route. You'd streamline some of your stuff, but you would never like throw out your business model and redo it 2 or 3 times in 18 months. Right. No, exactly. Like that's, and then you're like, why are we doing this?
Just for fun, you decided to, run for government.
Yeah. Federal politics. Why not? Right. What else can you possibly add in there? But that was actually not so bad.
Tell us a bit more about what inspired you. And I'm presuming that you want to run again.
Yeah. Well, a couple of things, right? Like I was approached by the Kanata-Carleton Conservatives back in 2018 to consider running to be candidate. It didn't fit right then with like where the kids were, because like they were littler then, and business was really busy, and all those things. Seeing how hard it was as a business, and how we all have lots of friends, especially in hospitality, who are small businesses. They're like photographers, or they're entrepreneurs or sole proprietor type things, and how hard it was. Like I ended up even writing grants for people at one point all last year, like to help them navigate the small business process, because it's so complicated and convoluted. And that kind of helped, it was like a catalyst essentially, that was like, hey, it can't be this hard. Like we deserve better. I should be able to go to a website and figure stuff out. And just, we're lucky. I know that because we're still around, but a lot of people aren't as lucky as we were. So I just thought there could be a better way. And I tend to take on too much whenever I get excited, or I'm like, oh yeah, let's do this. This is great. I'll make 5,000 coffee filter flowers to make it look like summertime. But
we love you for it though, Jen.
Honestly. Now, Jen, when you say you were approached, like, did they just walk up to you on the street?
No. A friend of mine,
where his in is,
approached us. They found me on the street wearing blue, and they're like, "You look like the right person." A friend of mine was the president of the Kanata-Carleton Conservative Association, and like there's a lot of stereotypes, obviously, around politics and around the Conservative Party, and not that they're trying to rebrand, but they're trying to show more facets, I guess, of the party, and just with what we had in terms of small business. So just that side of what I had accomplished professionally as well, like I never go through my resume. I have some stuff on it, but there's some backing to it all.
You said you had some conversations, and I know your main competition from the Liberal Party, Jenna Sudds, was well known in Canada. How many conversations did you have with her before you made your decision to even run?
Quite a few, actually. Which is that's quite a few. So
for those maybe just listening, there's some subtext happening here.
That would have been last spring, last fall-ish, right? Before that, we talked about it, her and I, quite a bit, because she had run municipally. So and we have a lot of similarities in terms of like crossover. Like our daughters have the same name. We won our 40 under 40 the same year. We obviously have very similar names, similar education in terms of degrees and stuff.
She was never an MPI chapter president, though, was she?
She was not. No, she was not.
That's what sets you apart. This is the President's Club right here.
Yeah. So that's right. No, she doesn't have that on me. So, but no, it was, I talked to a lot of people who were volunteers, right? Because again, like this is all volunteer stuff. Like not one person in my campaign got paid, not like nobody. So you guys understand the passion it takes to be a volunteer. And so I talked to a lot of the key volunteers, because before you can even think about running, you need to have a team behind you and a team of people who kind of know the ground. Like I was brand new to politics and the whole landscape of it all. So you need people to help navigate it for you. So the people on my team, they'd done federal politics, federal, provincial, like local. So I had tons and tons of experience on my team, which I'm so fortunate for. So I essentially had job interviews with each one of them to make sure they thought I was good enough to get behind and inspire them. So it was it was nerve wracking.
You interviewed them or they interviewed you?
They interviewed me. Right. To see if because they've all volunteered, right? But they're like to decide if they want to put their efforts behind you.
That's very,
they have to see if you're worthy, I guess, or if because at the time there were other candidates who wanted to be the candidate. So they just, you got to find a team that you fit with and the personalities and that you believe in, right? Like, so a lot of it comes down to believing in the candidate and the person. So phenomenal volunteers, like the hours that they put in it rivals MPI. So you guys get it.
I was going to say, I'm curious, how much of your leadership of volunteers through MPI did you tap into in this new role, leading volunteers again?
Well, it's a lot of it, really, because the same thing, like people want to see you out there. There's nothing worse, and we all know it as a volunteer, to see like the head or the volunteer person who points and tells you what to do and shows up at the party but doesn't show up for anything else.
Ryan, he's at the bar having drinks.
Ryan was at the Ryan was like past president when I was coming in, so I worked with Ryan, so no, I know that.
So he does do that.
Just kidding. No, he doesn't. Not at all.
It's like the Homer Simpson meme, just going back through the woods of little shrubs,
just hiding. Hiding, gone. No, it's but yeah, all that stuff, right? Like, so, and I think that's part of it. Like in the last week, it's been difficult, and lots of, I wallowed and I was up and down, but like the messages from the volunteers who are so like, you feel bad because you don't want to let them down because they put in so many hours and all that stuff, right? Like, yes, it's your name, but it's not about me. It's about all the other people that made that happen. And, they're like, do it again. You got to run again. Like, we're behind you. So like that in itself is encouraging. And Mr. O'Toole's texted and called me a bunch. So that's been kind of nice too, to just be supportive, which is lovely and super nice about that. So, I did use my MPI running skills because I did get to go running with him in the morning. So it was kind of cool. And
really?
I ran like 6 or 7 kilometers. Him and Pierre Polyev and I all went out a couple more. Anyways, I didn't die. So that was a good thing.
Now, do you need 2 years to run again, or do you need the full 4 years? Are you ready to go again in 2 years? Should it get called?
A little bit more time is better, like anything, and I think we all can appreciate building those partnerships and the networks. And if you start now, like do that grassworks kind of work, it would be a lot easier. Okay. I'm lucky I'm from Kanata.
This was a fast one, right?
It was 35 days.
Yeah.
Right. Like full election to like the writ drop to the election itself.
It was a sprint.
Oh, it felt like you're trying to get a glass of water from a fire hose. It was ridiculous. Like it was just everywhere, but lots of learning. And yeah, a lot of the stuff actually from MPI president, like public speaking and the networking with people and just being able to create relationships and be authentically you was huge, well, Jen, because that's what people like.
I was going to say, one of the things I remember you coming into presidency, you were so worried about, the biggest thing you were scared of was public speaking, getting on stage at the auction dinner in front of 700 people. And here you are now running like the face of Kanata-Carleton.
Yeah, it was, there's no people though, like, right. Like all our debates were like we did one in-person debate and there was nobody in studio. It was just on a stage with like in a little plexiglass cube. And then everything else was via Zoom, which in itself is awkward at best, right? Trying to debate and talk to people. So, but it's a lot of one-on-one conversations, which like we all know what it's like when you're not sales calls really, but really just that opportunity to connect with somebody one-on-one and listen to them. That's what we do. As you know, the same thing you do with an event client. You sit there and you hear what they want, and you have to figure out how that fits with the plan that you're going to deliver. So very, very similar to those things.
Yeah.
Now, Jen, I know you from the beginning, you've been a supporter of our podcast, and
yes,
you know, we have a certain time of the podcast where we have to put you through our crazy eights. It's a rapid fire, crazy eight. So number 1, live to eat or eat to live?
Eat to live.
Okay. What time do you typically get up by choice?
The last 8 weeks, I get up at 4:25, and usually it's 5:25 is when my alarm goes off. Most of the time.
All these people that we only have one person who got up at a normal hour.
And when the beaties sleep in, the beaties are normal people. They slept in.
Everyone else we've asked, it's been like crazy.
Brent and Jen Beatty, they were like 10 a.m.
I've got like a half day of work done. Yeah. Wow. No, I get more done in the morning, and like, especially the last 8 weeks, I would come in, do everything I had to do for Mastermind, and then go campaign from like 11 onward, right? Like 11 to 8 o'clock at night. So I just needed more hours in the day and can't make that happen, unfortunately. So yeah.
Plans or no plans?
No plans.
Really interesting. Okay. I'll let you
everything is so scheduled in my life. If I don't have to, I don't do it. That's like, great. Yeah.
Love it. Personal trainer or personal chef?
Well, personal trainer probably, or chef. Yeah, either one. I'd take either, in all honesty.
Not going to be picky.
No, not at all.
Okay. What sense do you rely on the most?
Touch.
Okay. when you get the feeling back in your hands, of course.
Yeah, well, I can't feel this hand, but the other one works fine. No, it's like it's so funny. We were in.
So I actually appreciate
you only
so
need
much.
One.
Yeah, I do it. I do it without realizing it when I'm like at an event, and if you watch, I'm literally start to rub tablecloths without realizing it, just to like all the time. It's a weird habit.
Is that a 100 thread count? Is that a 200 thread count?
Yeah, I'm like, ooh, and then I'll take pictures and text them to my husband, because I'm like, can you believe they use this? That's what we text each other. Yeah,
we totally judge. Like, do you have some kind of weird tablecloth?
Absolutely. We were in San Francisco at like one of those MPI WECs, and Chantal Beaupre, she's like, "What are you doing?" I was like rubbing the tablecloth, and I'm like, she's like, she caught me. It was embarrassing. Yeah.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
Yeah, totally.
All right, number 6, truth or dare?
Truth.
Okay, good answer, especially coming out of the politics world.
Yeah.
And our crazy 8, crazy 7, I guess. Knocking down setups or knocking on doors?
Oh. Knocking on doors is better. I hate tearing down. So yeah. Okay. Not knocking down. It's too late for me.
We've heard your story through the pandemic, but we have to ask, are you currently surviving or thriving in the status quo?
Oh, it's, you know what? I think we've gone back and forth to both of it. Like, and as most people, like right now, it feels a little bit, until we get things back in a groove, being able to hire more people, it feels like survival, just because of the all that stuff. But we've had moments where it really, the pendulum swings both ways. Like you're like, great, we're doing so well. And then all of a sudden it like gets like shifted back the other way on you. So
I think anyone that feels they've been thriving the whole time is probably
they're lying.
out there.
Right. That's totally. I was just thinking that is every one of our guests we've had on this season. Nobody has said surviving.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of them are a lot of BS.
All right, Tim.
Did I just call out all our guests?
Yeah,
you just totally did. I've listened. I know who your guests are. It's okay.
But I found it refreshing, that answer, because I think a lot of people are actually surviving versus thriving.
Yeah.
But it sounds good to say thriving.
We've had moments where it's been like really great, but the reality being like, we're like we said, we'll just keep our head down and keep like, it's like a really bad game of Survivor, right? Like, please don't kick us off the island and let's keep working. Like,
yeah.
So
you've been running a mile a minute. You actually ran with,
that was awful. I want to point this out. I got an email saying, oh, we've invited all the candidates to come out, because we're all running. Right. And I thought they were running a campaign, but they like legitimately, I agreed without knowing that I actually had to run. And then I got an email. Yeah, but on my own, I had to have makeup on. I had to look nice. And they're like, because there was a photographer and they're like, you have to look like this is the best day ever. And
this is a photo op.
I thought they would have just done a photo op and did 3-4 steps, not the whole 6K.
Aaron runs every day. Like that's part of his routine. He gets up, he runs at 7 a.m. And they're like, but in the email, the next one was like, oh, okay, well, you have to be able to run like 7 kilometers in 40 minutes. I was like, I can't do that. Like, are you kidding me? It's like 6 a.m. on a Friday. Yeah, it's very fast. And then they're like, oh, okay, well, you can do 5 kilometers. And I was like, oh, that's so doable. And I thought it was a big group because I was exactly going to do that photo op and then like duck out. And they're like, no, it's just you and Aaron and Pierre. Have fun. I was like, what are you? So yeah, I showed up and ran and they were very, very nice. But anyways,
you're a trooper.
I legitimately, that's what they said. I'm a good sport.
The other ones ducked out earlier. Like, no, forget this. They knew what the drill was.
Yeah. They all said no.
But let's just say, I'm sure it was something that helped you in all this. And I have to bring it up. Maybe we'll get a little sponsorship out of it. I don't know. But Peloton, you have a newfound obsession with Peloton. And I know that in some of your quote posts and even when you and I were talking directly, I think it was one of those constant things. I mean, are you still on a record like of every?
No, I lost it in July.
How many did you do every day?
370 days in a row. Like I did a year and a bit in a row, like every day.
Yeah.
Either running or biking. It was when I got my second vaccine and I was super tired and the campaign was happening and I missed a day. And then I've kind of slipped the last little bit because it's taken a lot out of me. So I haven't been as diligent, but it just gave you like working out, like having that goal and like just let you escape for a little bit and just like no one bugged you like 30-40 minutes, like, and you feel like these people are like, it's so sad, but the instructors are like your friends and you take this interest in them and they have no idea who you are.
They have like this backstory and they're like, oh my God, he totally dated her.
And you totally know it and you follow them and you feel like you're your friends and you're like, wow, I have a whole make-believe life. But it was,
Go Peloton.
Oh yeah. No, I'm giving myself till October 1st to just be like, okay, I have a few more days.
To survive or thrive in like what we went through, I think all event professionals, everybody had their part, and maybe for some people, maybe it was more tangible than not. Mm-hmm. But, I've often said like this podcast was my part in all this.
It kept us together, Now, Jen,
it was the one thing we could control.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Now, I think of any of our guests, you've probably had one of the wildest rides. Mm-hmm. You've been through so many different things. You stuck it to your landlord. You've moved. You're building homes. You ran an election campaign to be MP. That's 2 years from now. What are you going to look back on during this period and be like, wow, I either really grew or really learned something, and that's going to kind of change your course for good?
Oh crap! I have no idea. Like we're lucky. Business-wise, we were able to look at the big picture and streamline some stuff and find some of those things that were not as effective or, that aren't when you look at the numbers, because we had to really, really look at the numbers at some point. So some of the stuff that wasn't as profitable. So we're adjusting to those things. I think that like raising my profile, like politically, like, because again, we're Kanata-Carleton, like Ryan, I know you live out this way. Like, it's not that big. It is, but it isn't. We still haven't debriefed the campaign yet because we're all still trying to breathe a little bit. So we'll see. And if everything goes well, I would run again if they still want me to, whenever that may be, which is beyond anything we can control at this stage. So, but just what I'd like to use this opportunity that I've had, and I'm super lucky, is to take that and continue to build and learn more about our community and continue to give back. Like I like being on the board with Dave Smith. Like I'm not on the board at MPI anymore and haven't done as much volunteer stuff there, but some of the more community-based organizations and continue to do those. That's what I've been doing lately, but it's always good to get involved that way.
Volunteering, it's hard to, it's a bug that you can't get rid of.
Well, and it's funny. I don't know about you guys. Whenever I volunteer, they're like, "Oh, we have an events committee." There's nobody. You're like, "Oh, great." They're like, "We do events that could." Yeah, I get on those committees all the time. Or fundraising. Yeah. So, but yeah, I don't know. Like, I mean, it was a huge, like, you guys know how much I was terrified to be MPI president. I followed you, Ryan, which was a huge shoes to fill. And your love of public speaking and
he's all bravado, this guy. Don't worry.
Yeah. But it was,
he is the best public speaker.
The best public speaker.
Absolutely. I still remember your selfie at the gala at the auction dinner. That was a good one.
Hadn't been done over and over and over again. It was fresh, I think just off Ellen, right?
Yeah, but it comes to you naturally. Like I find it challenging. Like it's so.
Right. I think it doesn't show.
No.
Well, Ryan doesn't tap dance like you can. So
no, that is a skill. Yeah. I haven't had to do that lately at all, but it still comes up from time to time. I like to do it my own way. We all go at it our own ways. So, but being authentic to yourself and what you do is really translates the most. And that's kind of the biggest feedback I got was just, there are others who are very polished and the company line is there, but the authenticity, and no matter what you do, whether it's an event or how you conduct yourself in a political campaign or just in a meeting, that translates and people want to be part of that. So the authenticity is so important now.
Thanks for being part of the Illuminate Project podcast. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts.
To carry on the conversation, follow us on LinkedIn, Instagram, and Twitter at IlluminateProj with an 8.
Switch your mindset, stay creative, and we challenge you to not just survive, but thrive in the status quo.